So for me, seed starting is 1 month away. I start my seeds February 1st. And while I managed to be able to not think about it too much up until Christmas, the week between Christmas and New Year's, because it's coming so close, I really start to ponder how my seed room layout is going to go. Especially this year, because this year I'm doing way more ranunculus than I did in past years, and they take up a bit more room than, let's say, cosmos seeds. I'm also going back to doing anemones. Now, if you watched my last year's video where I said I wasn't growing anemones anymore, I'll explain late at the end of this video why I'm growing anemones again. But the other thing is that I'm also trying out a few more dahlia types. And there's a few other seeds that I'm going to, flower seeds, etc., that I'm going to try out as potted plants to sell rather than for bouquets, etc. And for that reason, I've become a little bit nervous about whether or not I have enough space in my seed room, because it was full last year. It was absolutely jam-packed. And I know that I can get space for an additional 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and a half 10 by 20 trays, because I never used my bottom shelves last year. They're really close to the concrete floor, and so I kept everything higher than that for temperature reasons. But this year I'm going to use those spaces. So I bought 4 new grow lights to go into the 1, 2, 3, 4 shelving areas that I'm going to convert from storage to seed growing, and that'll give me quite a bit more space. But will it give me enough space? Hi everyone, it's Evelyn. And the way I'm determining as to whether or not I have enough space in my seed room for all the seeds, corms, tubers, etc. that I want to grow in it this year, especially starting February 1st, is by creating a seed room schedule first before I ever do a seed schedule. And I did that by collecting all the seeds that I'm going to start, taking account of all the corms and tubers that I'm going to start, grabbing myself a list, writing down what everything is and how much space I need for them. And then, once I've done that, I went down into my seed room and I measured up the areas that I have for growing on. Once I got the measurements, I went and did a schematic of the shelves. Once I had a schematic of the shelves done, which is just elevations, the first thing I wrote in was the thing that I'm best known for, is my dahlias. So I took my schematics of the 3 shelving areas that I can grow in, and I wrote down where all the dahlias are going to go. So you can see here I have, I believe that says 120 dahlias on the top shelf, 60 on this shelf, 60 on this one, 60, 60. And then on these other shelves, I'm using the top shelf for dahlias as well. Once I had that laid out, and that's for starting February 1st-ish. And I say ish because, like the dahlias, I'm not going to all do in one day. So there's other things that I also want to start February 1st-ish. Once I've got the seed room layout done, then I can, after that, determine which I'm going to start first, second, and third. I'm clearly going to do the dahlias first, because as you can see by this photo, there's a lot of paper bags in some of these shelves, and those are full of the dahlia tubers. So in order to fill up the shelves, I have to get the dahlia tubers and their bags off the shelves, which means I might just as well put them where they go. Now, once I had the dahlias in position, the next most important thing for me to do was lay out the corms. So I laid out the corms on the shelves. Everything that I'm starting February 1st is, as you can see, in red. And then I've just sort of drawn the 10 by 20 trays, and I've written corms, corms, corms. And then once I had the corms in place, I allocated 2 seed trays for sweet peas. The corms, by the way, are for the ranunculus that I have in storage. And I'll just put some pictures up here of the ones that I had in storage and what they're called. And then after that, like I said, I allocated 2 spots for sweet peas, 1 spot for snapdragons, 1 for black button bachelor buttons, 1 for silver petunia, silver wave petunia, because I don't grow the regular petunias, just the wave petunias, because they don't need deadheading. a purple wave petunia, one Sweet William, and I'm starting Sweet William in the seed room rather than out in my garden, because by the time I realized I'd ordered Sweet William seeds, it was too late to get them going. So I'm going to try them for an early spring start rather than a late summer start. I'm also going to allocate a tray for tomatoes and one for lettuce, because just because I'm a flower farmer doesn't mean I don't like to grow food. Additionally, I'm going to do a tray of frizzle sizzle, is that what they're called? Pansies, and one for a really beautiful coleus. So that takes care of all of my February 1st seeds. And as you can see here, I still got 2 shelves empty, which is the equivalent, because I can get 3 10 by 20 trays on each one of these shelves. So that leaves me an equivalent of 6 trays. But that's okay, because I'm doing more seeds than just the ones that I start on February 1st. So once I have February 1st done, all in red, now that's color coded, right? So then, the next seeds that I'm starting are March 15th. And what I've done is I've simply gone on top of where the February 1st-ish trays are going, drawn a line, and done all the March 15th ones in blue, of which there's quite a few, because I ordered through my wholesaler, which is Van Noort, quite a bit more, I was going to say bachelor buttons, not bachelor buttons, ranunculus. I also ordered anemones, but I also ordered some dahlia tubers that I want to try. And again, I'll let you know at the end of this video why and what. So once I laid those all out, the next thing, now you'll notice that they're on top, and that's because, for instance, the corms, my ranunculus corms that I started February 1st-ish, they'll be in the garden before March 15th rolls around. So if the layer is above, that means that space has been vacated. The sweet peas will have been planted out by then, the snapdragons, the bachelor buttons, and as I said, all of the ranunculus corms will all have been planted out, which has freed up space. So that's what the blue color coding is for March 15th. But then after that, I'm starting a few other things. Mainly sunflowers, cosmos, zucchinis, and cucumbers. So this is where it gets tricky. Oh, and also glads. I want to do a tray of glads, but I might be able to just start them on the floor because they're under soil, so I don't have to worry about them getting any sunlight at this point yet. So why it gets tricky is because I'm going to be doing 3 10 by 20 flats of sunflowers per week. So I've got March 22nd down here, 3 flats. April 1st, 3 flats here. Then I move down to here for the other 3 flats. I've also put in a flat of Zooks and Cukes and a flat of Cosmos. The problem is, and this actually went back to March 15th, is my coleus, my frizzle pansies, my Sweet Williams, and my tomatoes are not going to be vacated by March 15th. So while I can move them, and I know, so what I did was I highlighted them in yellow, that was a problem area. So while I can put them here on March 15th, because I'm not starting sunflowers in here until March 22nd and so forth, they'll get a week in this shelf, but they're still going to need more than a week. So this has allowed me to realize that come March 22nd, I am going to run into a roadblock for 4 flats. Now I might be able to juggle that around. I'm hoping I'll be able to juggle that around, and I'll figure out what I'm going to do when the time comes, because it is only 4 flats and I'm pretty good at adapting. If the weather's good, our garage has all plexiglass front panels in the opening part of it, which I can use as a temporary greenhouse, and do use as a temporary greenhouse every year. So weather permitting, I will use the front of that garage as a temporary greenhouse for, I'll determine at the time what I'm going to use it for, to free up 4 spots for what I don't want to put into the greenhouse. If that doesn't work, I will be able to potentially, I have a work table that's 6 feet long beside my seed tables. I'll potentially be able to just rig something up temporarily without proper grow lights, just regular lighting over top of my work table, and use that. It's going to be something that I'm going to decide at the time of the actual seed starting. It's only 4 trays, so I'm not going to worry about it till then. But that gives me a real good basic idea of how I'm going to do my seed room schedule. So I'm curious, do you do a seed room schedule? Do you do a seed schedule? Let me know in the comment section down below if you do and what you do differently, or if you do it actually the same way. And it would be kind of cool to get a conversation going, to get some other ways of how people prepare in advance for how they lay out their seed growing area. It doesn't have to be a seed room. Before I had my seed room, I used our guest room, which we had a 10-foot window in, and I just had fold-up tables opened up in front of that 10-foot window, and that's where I started my seeds. When I had too many seeds and dahlia tubers to put in front of that window, I then expanded into the walk-in closet from that bedroom. I hung grow lights from the clothing rod in the walk-in closet, and I put more folding tables underneath that, and so I was able to expand my growing area by using both the walk-in closet as well as the 10-foot window. I actually had a lot of space doing it that way, but it ties up the guest room for months, like half a year. So that's not actually, wasn't an optimum plan. So that's why we put the seed room in. And what I did, well, and my husband, is we figured out where I could best steal some space from his shop. So my seed room is now taking space away from part of his shop, but he's retired now, so that doesn't matter. His shop is now being used solely for our own house. So the fact that I've squeezed out some space from him is perfectly fine. Now, I did say that I was going to let you know why I'm doing anemones again, and let you know what anemones I'm doing, what extra ranunculus I'm doing, and what extra dahlias I'm doing. But the best way for you to know that, if you haven't watched it already, is check out this video where I go over my spring and summer bulb order that I received this past fall from Van Noort Bulbs, and I go into great detail about why I ordered what.